I happen to believe that what's going on nationally, what our campaign is begging you to do is to think outside of the box. Don't just listen to what people in Congress say or what the media says, because they often miss the main point. We are the wealthiest country in the history of the world. Tell me why we don't have the best public education system in the world. Now, this is, as you know, a national crisis. It is even worse in South Carolina than in most states. All right? Here is another radical idea, that I believe all children in this country, regardless of the color of their skin or what income their family has, I believe that all children deserve a quality education, no matter what zip code they live in. And I believe that we should have quality, universal child care in this country. How many millions of families go to work? Mom goes to work, dad goes to work, and they're worried about what happens to the 2-year-old because they cannot find that quality child care they need. We got to put an end to it. And I got to say this over and over and over again, we are not a poor country. We're the richest country on earth. We should have quality child care. I'll tell you what else we do. We're going to triple funding for low-income Title I schools here in South Carolina and around the country. And when we change our value system, rethink our values, we understand not only do we believe in education, we believe in educators, the teachers of this country. We want our kids to have the very best instruction they can. We want highly motivated, bright teachers who love the kids. I have been throughout this state, and I've talked to educators here in South Carolina, and they're telling me they are losing teachers who have 10 years experience, 20 years, great teachers. They can't make a living. They're working 2 or 3 jobs. They're taking money out of their own pockets to buy school supplies because the budgets are so bad. 4 jobs. Are you a teacher? Stand up. Stand up. Tell us what your experience is. You're working how many jobs? And you're a teacher. Well, thank you. Well, thank you for being a teacher, but what you just described is a national disgrace. We want our teachers to be focused on the children, not have to drive an Uber, or not have to serve coffee, because teaching is as important a job as exists in America. And that is why I want to move us to the day when no teacher in America makes less than $60,000 a year. And when teachers do not have to work 4 jobs. And when we talk about education, again, think outside of the box. The world has changed over the last 100 years. When we think about public education today, not good enough just to think about kindergarten through 12th grade. That was great 50 years ago. World has changed. When we talk about public education today, we should be talking about making public colleges and universities tuition free. And canceling all student debt in this country. All right, I got another radical idea for you. If you haven't walked out of the room yet for all this communism and all this stuff, here's another radical idea. You ready for this one? I know I'm hitting you hell out over the head today. What about the United States joining every other major country on earth and guaranteeing health care to all people as a human right? Now, you hear from my opponents, you hear from Trump, you hear from everybody. It's too radical. It can't be done. Gee, let's see. Canada does it. Canada does it. United Kingdom does it. France does it. Germany does it. Holland does it. Finland does it. Sweden does it. Denmark does it. Norway. Gee, it is done in every other major country on earth. Healthcare is a human right, not a privilege. Now, what does that mean? Stand up. We got National Nurses United right here. What is your name? Martise. Martise is a member of National Nurses United, a great and the largest nurses union in America. They're supporting us, but more importantly, they have been in the forefront for the fight for Medicare for all. Thank you. And with the National Nurses United, they're in the forefront. They're on the front lines of healthcare. This is what they understand. They cannot do their jobs. The jobs they were trained to do, the jobs that they have sworn to do, providing quality care to all under this current system. And I want you all to hear this, because you don't see it on TV. And that is, in America today, we spend twice as much per person on health care as do the people of any other country. You got that? We're spending $11,000 for every man, woman, and child, a fortune. And yet, after spending all of that money, 87 million of us are either uninsured or underinsured. At least, and I believe this is a very conservative number, at least 30,000 people die each year because they don't get to a doctor when they should because they are uninsured. Now, think about that for a moment. Somebody gets sick. They're not feeling well. Can't afford to go to the doctor. The problem becomes worse and worse and worse. Finally, they go into the doctor's office, and the doctor says, I'm sorry, it's too late. You're going to die. How disgusting and disgraceful is that? In America, and I want you all to think about how this happens, we are paying by far, ain't even close, the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. You all know that? Last year, I took a group of people from the Midwest over the Canadian border. These were diabetics needing insulin to stay alive. Anybody here know the differential in price for insulin, the same product, same company, in Canada compared to the United States? 10 times. We are paying 10 times more for insulin and for many other drugs that are sold in Canada all around the world. Why is that? Because you have a corrupt political system that allows the pharmaceutical industry to buy and sell politicians. If you go to the website, and you will find that the pharmaceutical industry has contributed huge amounts of money to Republicans and Democrats. They spend billions of dollars over the last 20 years on lobbying. They hire the former leaders of the Republican Party, the former leaders of the Democratic Party. And the message is, do nothing about drug costs. And right now, today, because of the victory of the pharmaceutical industry, they can double the price of the medicine you have used for 20 years. It is perfectly legal. Nothing there to stop them. Well, I will tell you that when we make it into the White House, there will be someone there to stop them. Now, you're going to hear a lot of lies about Medicare for all, because the healthcare industry, which made $100 billion in profits last year, you got it? Made $100 billion in profits while people are dying because they don't have health insurance. Let me tell you what Medicare for all means, so we're clear. Medicare for all, and this is not a radical idea, it exists in one form or another all over the world. No more premiums. Now, some of you are paying $1,000 a month in premiums. Anyone want to tell me what you're paying in premiums? What are you paying in premiums? There you go. A little bit less than $1,000 a month. Does that include a deductible? No deductible. Any out-of-pocket expenses, or is it? So you're paying $11,000, and And then you got a co-payment when you walk into the doctor's office? Yeah. Okay, anybody else want to talk to me about the cost of health care? Pardon me? You got good insurance, but stuff is not covered. Is that what you said? Yeah. All right, what you got is a racket out there. All right? So the insurance companies make a fortune, and then you got a deductible of whatever it may be before you could even have the insurance kick in. You got to pay it out of your own pocket. You're paying outrageous costs for prescription drugs. You're paying out-of-pocket expenses. What Medicare for All does, so we're clear, we're building on what the Canadians did and other countries do. No more premiums. You're not going to pay $11,000 a year for premiums. Gone. For you and for your employer. Gone. No more co-payments. So you don't have to come up with the $50 or the $100 you need when you walk into a doctor's office. No more deductibles. Gone. No more out-of-pocket expenses. Gone. Because we are going to lower the cost of prescription drugs in America, and they won't be any higher than the rest of the world, nobody under Medicare for All will pay more than $200 a year for prescription drugs. How's that? Well, right now, the way we pay for it is in a way that is very regressive and unfair. The average American family makes about $60,000 a year. That family pays $12,000 a year for health care. 20% of their income. That's insane. Okay? Under our proposal, where Medicare for All will be funded through the general tax base, that average family will pay substantially less than they're paying today. Unlike Donald Trump, we believe in science. We listen to the scientists. We understand that climate change is a threat to our country, to the world, and by the way, to South Carolina big time. If we don't get our act together, the sea levels are going to continue rising, which means that great American cities like Miami, Charleston, Myrtle Beach, other communities in South Carolina will be partially or completely underwater by the end of this century. So I'm happy to tell you that we have brought forth the most comprehensive climate change proposal ever brought forth by a federal candidate based on the principles of the Green New Deal. It will create up to 20 million good-paying jobs, and it tells the fossil fuel industry that their short-term profits are not more important than the future of our planet. And together, what we are going to do is address an issue that is a real cancer on American society, and that is a broken and racist criminal justice system. We have more people in jail than any other country on earth. I want you to hear this. China, 4 times our size, is a communist authoritarian nation, doesn't tolerate dissent terribly well. We got more people in jail than China does. We're spending $80 billion a year to lock up over 2 million people. Under our administration, what we are going to do is invest in our young people, in jobs. We're going to invest in education. We're not going to be investing in more jails and more incarceration. We got enough incarceration in this country today. Today in America, and people don't know this, and I have to confess that probably 3 or 4 years ago, I didn't know this. We have 400,000 people right now, this moment, in jail who have not been convicted of anything. Why do we have 400,000 people in jail who haven't been convicted? Anyone know? Bail. All right. You're rich, you get charged with a crime, you write out a check. You're poor, you get charged with a crime, you don't have the $500 or the $1,000, you stay in jail. And then when you stay in jail, even if you're innocent, which is often the case, you're going to have to plea bargain. And you plea bargain, you got a criminal record, even though you may have been innocent. We're going to eliminate cash bail in America. We don't need debtors' prison. We don't need debtors' prisons. You know, that was what Charles Dickens wrote about. You know, we are going to end private prisons and detention centers. We're going to end the war on drugs. Because the war on drugs was a war on working people and poor people and people of color. That's what that war was about. Now, there are some things as a president you can do with executive order. Some things you need legislation. Turns out that one of the things you could do with executive order is to legalize marijuana in every state in this country. And that's what I intend to do on day one. On day one, we will move forward to try to expunge the records of those arrested for marijuana. When we talk about broken and racist systems, it's not just criminal justice, it's immigration as well. I am sick and tired, and by the way, I am the son of an immigrant. My father came to this country without a nickel in his pocket from Poland, couldn't speak English, had very limited education. So I'm sensitive to the issue of immigration, and I will not accept Trump and his friends demonizing the undocumented in this country. On day one, we're going to sign an executive order reestablishing the legal status of the 1.8 million young people eligible for the DACA program. We are going to end a border policy which allows federal agents to snatch babies from the arms of their mothers. That's not what America is about. We're going to end the DACA. We're going to end the ICE raids that are terrorizing communities all over this country. I don't want people to be living in fear. I don't want people who are walking into a church, walking into a school, to be worried about being arrested. And what we are going to do, which should have been done decades ago, is to finally pass comprehensive immigration reform and a path towards citizenship for all those who are undocumented today. All of us are horrified by the amount of gun violence in this country. And right now there is one reason, and one reason alone, why the United States Congress has not passed what the American people want, which is strong gun safety legislation. And that one reason is the NRA. Now, the NRA may intimidate Trump. The NRA may intimidate the Republican leadership. The NRA does not intimidate me. We will pass common sense, universal background checks. If people have a violent past, including domestic violence, they should not be owning a gun. We're going to end the gun show loophole, and we're going to do what I believe we should have done 30 years ago, and that is to end the sale and distribution of assault weapons in this country. Now, as a senator, I hear a lot of speeches on the floor of the Senate, and I hear Republicans and conservatives talking about how they believe in limited government. They believe in getting the government off the backs of the American people. Now, I know, again, this is not popular with the South Carolina state government, but let me make it very clear. If you believe in getting the government off the backs of the American people, you got to understand that it is women who have a right to control their own bodies, not the government. Don't tell me you believe in small government, and yet you're telling every woman in America what she can do with her body. That is hypocrisy. That is not acceptable. So what we will do is, my promise to you is, we will never appoint anyone to the Supreme Court or the federal bench who is not 100% pro Roe v. Wade. We will fight to codify, put into law, Roe v. Wade. And Trump and his friends want to make major cuts of federal aid to Planned Parenthood. Well, we got bad news for them. We're going to significantly increase funding for Planned Parenthood. So, here we are today in the beginning of the most consequential election in the modern history of America. And tomorrow, in case some of you forgot, there is a primary here in South Carolina. So my request to all of you is, please come out to vote tomorrow. I'm here to humbly ask for your support. I'm asking you to bring your friends and your neighbors and your coworkers out to vote. Now, we have come a long way. When we started this campaign here in South Carolina, I think we were 25 or 30 points behind. We have made up a lot of ground. We're in striking distance. And if there is a large voter turnout of working people, of low-income people, come on out and vote. I think we got a shot to win this. So let us have the largest voter turnout tomorrow. Let us go forward. Let's win here in South Carolina. Let's win the Democratic nomination. Let us defeat Donald Trump. Let us transform this country. Thank you all very much.